Annunziata, I'll start with you. Look, we've pledged $500 million to the French Coast Guard. The Libyans and the Tunisians are cutting this illegal migration crisis over in North Africa towards Italy by a staggering 69%. What is it? Is it the French Coast Guard's being absolutely incompetent, or are we just spaffing money up the wall?
No, I think we have to look at why people want to go to Italy or come here. And we are giving illegal migrants great incentives to come, that you get a hotel, you don't get detained. It's not a punitive way of life. There are benefits available, food allowances, mobile phones, free dentistry, so on and so forth. And Meloni has done an immense job of making it pretty unpleasant to arrive in Italy. And funnily enough, if it's not a nice place to go, people don't want to come.
Yeah, so, Paul, it's that deterrence, isn't it? You know, a lot of illegal immigrants seem to think that we're the sort of benefits Britain. They're going to come here, they're going to get a hotel, they might get, extra cash for whatever they need throughout the week. They get a hot meal. That's more than some homeless veterans are getting from our government.
I live in a town where we have some of these, or had some of these hotels. They are not feather-bedded. They are not nice three-star hotels. They're pretty grim. They get a tiny amount of money each day. And, of course, crucially, they're not allowed to go out and work and earn money and pay taxes and be part of society. So, and they're lumped together day after day. It's not an easy option at all, Annunziata. I know you're about to tell me that it is.
The hotels they've taken in Skegness are the ones that our British tourists pay good money to go to, but can't go to because they've all been taken over.
Well, I've said before,
we need
that's why we need to.
So disgusting, they would have gone out of business a long time ago.
That's why I think we need to go after the hoteliers who are profiteering.
But the hoteliers are being paid by the government. Surely it's just good
I know,
business, right?
Well, I think.
Would you not accept that?
I think they're profiteering, and I think actually they should be taxed on that because they're just making a lot of millions of pounds out of other people's misery.
Yeah, but then we're taxing money that the government has also just paid out of the coffers.
We need to.
And they'll add it to the government's bill and make.
We need to remove that business model where you could just empty your hotel, your struggling hotel, just fill it full of people and get money off the state.
Hotels, they
well, the ones I'm talking about
are business, because obviously tourism in this country is seasonal. And most people don't want to go to.
They're profiteering. They're profiteering. You know they are.
Diana, I want to bring you into this. I mean, look, Elon Musk has said Keir Starmer's importing voters. Do you agree with that?
It could be that he's doing that, but certainly just going back to the hotel business, I mean, I visit Somerset, which I know you're from, and various other parts, and these beautiful hotels are not able to take holiday makers just at the moment. It seems so wrong to me that the ordinary man in the street who's working as hard as he can do wants to take his family off on a holiday, and he can't because all of these immigrants are in the hotel. And, of course, the standard of the hotel is going down, down, down all the time.
Paul, surely, look, I mean, if Meloni can do it in the Mediterranean Sea, what is it that's stopping us? Because it's a tiny stretch of water.
It's not tiny. That's the whole point. I've heard people like
the Mediterranean Sea.
I've heard people from Reform Party, for example, saying, "Oh, just put the Royal Navy into the English Channel somehow." It's a vast amount of space that you can't police in that way. What you have to do is what the government is trying to do, which is to disrupt the gangs before the boats get anywhere near the ocean. If you can stop the boats going anywhere near the sea, then you might stand a chance.
We paid money over there to the French to stop the gangs from putting them on the boats.
And smashing the gangs has thoroughly failed already. Illegal immigration via the Channel is up over 20% just since Labour
So are deportations, though. The deportation rates are the highest ever. You'll accept that?
A deterrent, whether you like
wasn't
it or not.
A deterrent.
It was shown
wasn't
to be
a deterrent
before it even started. It was
cost millions and didn't work.
And numbers have gone through the roof. Some gangs might be smashed, but the thing is, it is a tetra. It has another head that will crop up elsewhere.
A hydra?
Well, that's what we're seeing, isn't it?
Thank you.
That's what we're seeing in Annunziata. We're seeing reports that even though Meloni has smashed some of the gangs, so to speak, in the North African part of the world, they're just moving. They're just moving around. They're going through Turkey now.
Money is very attractive.
What is the answer?
Well, the question is...
Because I think smashing the gangs is a good start, but if there's a better idea, let's hear it.
We do have to do it, but surely there's got to be more we can do.
And each government...
You've got to scrap the incentive of people to, A, risk their lives.
Make the country terrible so nobody wants to come here.
12 months on record.
I mean, the Tories did try that.
Dying in the Channel, and we should think of their lives and their well-being. well-being. We should scrap the attractiveness of risking life and paying criminals money.
That means
so
smash
that
the
they want
gangs,
to
though. That's
come
what
here.
smashing the gangs is.
Diana, do you-
to stop the boats coming across. They must see the boats leaving the French shore.
Well, Diana, do you
They send
think
them
that
through Old
the
Navy.
incentive is just too high for illegal immigrants to come in? Do you think, why on earth would they not want to come to the UK? Because it seems to me like we are the softest touch in Europe.
I would
right?
agree with you. They've got money when they come here. They've got food immediately. They've got a bed. They've got, when you
Priority
look at...
NHS?
No.
Yes, that's true.
No, they do not get. They do not get
687.
priority.
Private.
They get.
In some
They
cases, they're
get
getting private
no.
doctors. Yes, they are. We saw
They
that
get
in
the
Altrincham in
same
Manchester.
access to the NHS
No,
as
that's
everybody
not
else.
true. They do
not get a priority.
They are.
Pathway.
In Altrincham in Manchester,
Based on
Councillor
need.
even said it. Well, that's still a priority access pool.
And what's the alternative to giving them food? Letting them
Do you know,
starve?
even when you come to the studios here, we come past certain areas. I'm not
Yes.
going to point them out
Yes,
now.
I know which ones you
and
mean.
the tentage is there with perhaps...
Well, that's not a hotel then, is it? That's people living in
perhaps.
tents.
Or are these English people who are having to live in the tents?
No, they're not.
Well, Annunziata, we do have a massive homelessness crisis in the
Yes.
UK. Should we not be spending these billions that we're spending on illegal migrants on them first before we look for charity elsewhere?
Of course, we should be looking after our own before we try and solve the rest of the world's problems.
Yes.
But most of these migrants are economic migrants. We have people in this country who are struggling and who are suffering, and our money and our taxpayer funds should go towards them. We have to make sure our own people are OK before we can rescue the whole world.
Right, Annunziata, I absolutely agree with you. But Paul, Sadiq Khan has been mayor for a very, very long time. I believe a lot of his policies are populist. Donald Trump has come under fire from Sadiq Khan today, calling him, part of this resurgence of fascism. He's a democratically elected leader. Sadiq Khan's wrong, isn't he?
Well, Sadiq Khan's also a democratically elected leader, and I have to say it's not language I would have used, because I think calling each other fascists or Nazis, or that's not the kind of discourse I personally favour. But the broader point he's making about democracy being a fragile thing, a relatively new thing in most of the Western democracies, we've only had it for 100 years here, and it can be taken away again, I think is a valid point, because unless you are eternally vigilant and you are constantly refreshing your democracy, it may well disappear.
I mean, Annunziata, listen, Donald Trump just won a landslide election. This is so deeply out of touch with reality, isn't it?
And not just Donald Trump, because in fact, Sadiq Khan branded most of the West in the same way, and are people tending across numerous countries to vote in a more right-wing way? Yes. Is that because the left has failed them and proven yet again it's not got the interests of the people at heart? Yes, probably true. But I think the inflammatory language of an elected leader, as Paul calls him rightly, saying the far right is on the march, these are deeply worrying times, increasingly finding the echoes of the 1920s and 30s in the present day, the spectre of resurgent fascism haunts the West. To ward off the far right, we must be unflinching. This is not the language of a moderate leader. It is clearly inflammatory. It is, after all, Sadiq Khan who gave permission for a 20-foot blimp of Trump as a baby to be paraded around the streets of London when he came to visit. I think making the relationship even poorer, just as Trump is revolutionising the future of our relationship with America, is very worrying.
It's very worrying stuff. Diana, listen.
I think it's very worrying. They've obviously got a total dislike of one another, disdain for one another.
Clearly. But, is this just a distraction from the real issues, Diana? Is this a distraction by Sadiq Khan? Because we've got knife crime soaring, we've got sexual assaults, one rape reported every hour.
Yes, of course, he's got that as well. But what worries me, I'm an old person, and, the Nazi business was there when I was a young girl. And to hear talk of all that sort of thing coming, being talked about now, is just dreadful to me. Dreadful.
Paul, final comment to you on this one. Sadiq Khan, of course, has made a big song and dance about this. He's gone out and done it right on the weekend.
Well, look,
the inauguration. Is he just trying to scupper?
This is the home of. This is not the home of free speech, isn't it? I mean, he's entitled to write an article in whatever newspaper it was.
Keir Starmer?
It wasn't.
I mean, Keir Starmer's doing his best. I mean, the Treasury Secretary came out and slammed him.
Well, I think Darren Jones made an equally good point, which is that the language was not the right language. He's making a good point. He's made it in a bad way. The timing's not great, but he's entitled to do it.
We've just seen Donald Trump and Elon Musk there. I mean, it's quite an interesting match, them two. Of course, many are saying it's a match made in heaven. Paul, some saying it's a match made in hell. What do you think? Is it all going to...
Well, the Don there saying that he's a genius. I think when he talks about politics, Elon Musk is an absolute halfwit. And the stuff he said about our own system here shows he doesn't understand it at all. And also, by the way, that is a disaster waiting to happen. They're going to fall out within weeks. The ticker is on before the massive clash of egos creates a bit of a combustion.
Diana, do you think they're going to fall out in the long run?
I just cannot understand it. What is it they say? Money talks. What is that guy doing in such an important place at such an important time? We knew nothing about it. Well, not anything about politics before.
No.
And there he is, taking centre stage. Was that his child as well?
I believe it was one of his children.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I think it was X.
That's right, it was, yes.
Which I have an unusual name myself, but I'm quite glad my parents didn't limit it to one letter. With a series of numbers, if I recall correctly.
Correct. It is. I won't attempt to pronounce it because I have no idea.
No idea. No, nor do I. And I think half of what Elon Musk says is utter nonsense, and the other half is sheer genius, and that is exactly why he's in the position he is. And actually, do we owe him a bit of thanks on bringing grooming gangs quite to the level of vision that it ended up having in this country and pushing towards the inquiry we so desperately need? Yes, we do. I think Donald Trump and Elon Musk probably both want to use each other for different but similar ends. They are both massive egos. Of course they are, and two egos will always clash. But if they want the same things, they can also make incredible things happen. Well,
that's true. Paul, look, we had that conversation about free speech earlier on. Of course, Elon Musk is what he would call a bastion of free speech. But focusing on something a little bit more interesting. Elon and Farage have fallen out. They're now in the same city. I was asking Zia Yusuf about this last night. Do you think they're going to kiss and make up, or do you think it's all over?
No, I think it's possible, because I think Elon Musk just makes his mind up each day as to what he's going to do and say. I don't think he's particularly consistent, so I can see them getting back together again, actually.
Interesting. Diana, what do you think?
Well, I just think the whole thing's crazy to have, on such an important occasion, to have this other person coming in on it.
Well, do you think Nigel Farage being there is odd?
Yes, but Nigel isn't trying to take centre stage.
Well, that's true.
Physically.
Well, I would assume that Elon Musk's been invited there by Donald Trump. So.
Yeah, but not to be there at the very moment that he's, in front of all the crowd.
Last one, do you think Elon Musk's going to have a really big role in this, or do you think it's going to diminish as he's got to run all these other things?
I think Trump absolutely believes in cutting the state, and Elon is at the front of that. But I wish we could have 10% of the belief in our own country that the American politicians have in theirs. We need the energy and enthusiasm.
Thanks for watching, and if you like that clip, please give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for lots more stimulating articles, debates and interviews. Also, see our website popularconservatism.com and the notes below for more details.